When Adidas killed off the F50 Adizero in 2015 and moved on to the X15, the X16 and the X17, many people were asking for the return of the OG minimalistic speed boot feel. And now, the spirit of the F50 Adizero is back.
Which is funny, because the boots are called Ghosted Plus and .1. Ghosted spirit. But bad jokes aside, Adidas have actually managed to generate quite a bit of hype around these. So in today's video, I'm gonna tell you everything you need to know about them, including the fit, the size, and the performance, but of course also both the good and the bad, to help you figure out if you should get the X at all, and if so, if you should go Plus or .1.
When the X Ghosted launched, Adidas hyped up the new translucent upper materials. The really exciting innovation is actually the same on both boots: the outsole.
Because just like many speed boots before, the X Ghosted is based on the shape of a track spike. But what's new here is that Adidas have actually taken that iconic toe lift shape that we see on most track spikes and integrated it into the X Ghosted boot itself. And they've done that using a carbon fiber insert in the forefoot from the supplier called Carbitex, which you actually also see in a slightly different execution in their super fast running shoe, the Adidas Adizero Pro. But the X Ghosted Carbitex plate has been engineered so it can bend one way with the foot, that natural movement, but it doesn't bend the other way very easily, which means that when you run, you're put a little bit more forced onto your forefoot, giving you that slight angle, which means that your forward propulsion is apparently helped. So it's supposed to make you faster, is what they say. But while I'm not buying that it's gonna make you at least measurably and considerably faster, it does something to alter the feeling of just having that speed advantage when you put on the X because of the outsole. See, that sensation where you're automatically rolled onto your forefoot and your toes, combined with the fact that you have this really stiff and ridiculously snappy energy return from the carbon fiber insert, means that both Ghosted boots, because it's the same outsole on both of them, just helps you in feeling a bit more ready and as if you actually have a bit of a head start. In other words, you feel a little bit like cheating when you're pushing off. Now the stud shape and placement is very good. It digs really aggressively into the ground, and I'm actually inclined to say that this outsole can rival the Mercurial.
There are also new upper materials, Miragskin on the Plus and Fluroskin on the .1, which follow the same design principle: thin and soft.
See, the Plus is made with three very thin layers. You have your translucent silicone top coating, then you have an engineered support layer that are these almost white threads that you can see, and finally you have an inner mesh layer to give you a bit of structure. And the boot in general has been engineered to sit as tight that it actually creates a vacuum when you put it on. And okay, it does give you that sound, signifying that all the air just goes out. And it really sits tight and sculpted to the foot, but not to the point where I felt it was as restrictive as I expected or even uncomfortable. Now the heel is also really nice and sits very tight, offers a good amount of hold, and is more locked in than what you got on the X19 Plus. But that also came at a cost, as I got a little annoying pressure point out here that I haven't managed to break in yet. Hopefully it won't take long. Generally, the boot is pretty easy to get on. It runs true to size for me at least, but it is also on the more narrow side, so I don't imagine it being too comfortable or welcoming for wider-footed people.
While the fit in the Ghosted Plus is decent, it's simply a whole other way more comfortable experience in the .1.
The Fluroskin on the .1 is also made with a translucent top coating, but instead it has a TPU skeleton as the main component, just like we know the construction from the 99-gram boots. And while the feeling of the upper isn't as rich or premium as on the Plus, it actually feels a little thinner and softer and more pliable. Now the general fit and shape of the boot is just as sculpted and really accommodating as in the Plus, where it follows every little contour and shape on your foot meticulously because the upper is so thin and soft. And I also really like how the tongue is constructed, where it doesn't crease up anymore like we saw in the X19.1s. When we talk lockdown, it's not quite Mercurial or Puma Ultra level, but because you have a slightly more centered lacing compared to, for instance, the X19.1, it is definitely good enough for a speed boot, I'd say, and naturally also much more responsive than the laceless X Ghosted Plus. This is the best laceless boot ever in terms of lockdown, but the 0.1 is simply just better in this regard.
These thin uppers, of course, also mean that you get a very raw and close feel on the ball.
And like you'd expect from a synthetic speed boot, it gives you that really sharp and barefoot-like pingy sensation that only such a thin boot can offer. Is it going to split opinion? Well, maybe, but if you like that really razor-sharp, super close and almost raw sensation, it's a great feeling. And to me, this sharp touch, combined with that super snug and vacuum-like fit, is one of the best areas of the new X, if you're into that sort of thing. Now, when it comes to shooting, this raised toe here felt a little different and a bit weird at first, but I actually managed to adjust to it quickly and is nowhere close to being any sort of deal breaker. So if you're worried, well, you shouldn't be, because you'll get used to it. Now, one of the things I'd love to see changed, even though I know it's never gonna happen because of pricing, would be to also have some of the elements, like maybe the Miragskin, or especially that super nice heel from the Plus on the 0.1 as well. I mean, why am I getting punished with a less nice heel package just because I want laces? And I understand why, but it would just be nice. Another thing you need to know is that if you like grip, well, the Ghosted kind of lives up to its name because there isn't much, especially on the 0.1, and that will probably be top of my wish list for improvements to combat that slightly slippery synthetic sensation. Just a little bit. I'm also a little bit put off by the fact that the uppers, they bulge a little when you bend your feet. And because of that, because they are synthetic uppers, it also means that both boots can squeeze your feet a little bit with pressure points when you bend your feet to the extreme. Or they can also be a little rough on your boots when you make very hard directional changes. So the X Ghosted, you can say, is not built for uber comfort, or protection for that matter, because they're thin. So if you're stepped on, it's gonna hurt a lot. But that's kind of always been the case with thin synthetic speed boots. So if you want that awesome, snug, vacuum fit and super sharp touch in the ball, you're gonna have to live with it and make a few sacrifices. It's life.
In other words, the X Ghosted, and particularly the 0.1, is actually great, and it's back to its speed boot roots, for good and bad.
What I like here is that you get that F50 vibe in both of the boots with an outsole that makes your feet feel like you've just downed 17,000 Red Bulls all at once. So the boots both shows great promise for future generations, but at the same time just delivers a very, very good speed boot alternative to all the knit that's already out there. And if you can live with all those classic synthetic speed boot drawbacks, they're excellent football boots. And while the Plus is, I'd say, better than ever, the 0.1 is still everything it's all about for me. But what do you guys say? Well, you should let me know in the comment section right down below, and then hurry up and get your pair of X Ghosteds in the link right over there before they're gone. And then, of course, head down to the playlist right down there to learn some wicked football skills. And with that said, guys, I'm signing off. Cheerio.